Oh, hello everyone, welcome back. So in my previous videos I talked about baby-led weaning and what baby-led weaning is. So it's basically letting your child follow their development and then move on to kind of normal adult food or eating the food of the family by 2 to 3 years of age. So I didn't touch on it in the previous videos, but I alluded to it and I didn't mention any um, animal products. I only mentioned plant-based or vegan options, so mostly fruit and vegetables. And I also didn't go to a lot of detail to the specific foods that you can feed to the child. So in this video, I will go into a little bit more detail around that, and I will be discussing specifically plant-based and vegan options, and then some pointers and some things that you might have to look out for on following this lifestyle. But the things that I'm going to mention, especially of the vitamins and minerals, will be applicable to someone following the normal traditional Western diet, which includes animal products as well, dairy and meats products. So let's start with the vitamins and minerals that are of concern. So the one that's always a concern for everyone, not only for plant-based or vegan lifestyle followers, is vitamin B12. It's an important vitamin for everyone no matter what kind of diet you follow. There is research that shows it can be manufactured in your gut, in your intestines, along with biotin and vitamin K, but the research has not found how it is absorbed yet. So it is possible for your body to make vitamin B12, but we are not sure how it gets absorbed or if it gets absorbed. So that is not a reliable way of getting it. And also, your gut bacteria has to be healthy. And to have a healthy gut bacteria, you need to be plant-based. You need to follow a plant-based lifestyle. If you are consuming animal products, you have a different bacterial colonization in your microbiota in your gut, and they will lean towards producing different kinds of vitamins and minerals, and they may not even produce them at all. So there are certain species of bacteria that you need in your colon and in your intestine to facilitate absorption and this production of beneficial compounds. And if that bacteria is disturbed, then it's really hard to get it back. And people have also started doing fecal transplants, so to get a healthy microbiota and have a healthy gut bacteria again. So it's extremely important. If you think about it, they are taking a healthy person's feces, poo, and inserting it into this unhealthy person's gut or colon through the anus usually. So they are transplanting your poo into someone else because you have not kept yourself healthy by what you are putting in. So B12 is extremely important for a variety of reasons. I'm not going to go into the functions and what vitamin B12 does in your body because I will sit here for a whole day. But in general, it's good for your nervous system, for your blood, and for your brain. So it's needed in brain development, it's needed for cellular regeneration. So your body does recycle most of your vitamin B12 and it gets stored in your liver. So you don't need that much every day. So you can take a supplement once a week if you are taking, for example, cyanocobalamin. If you're taking methylcobalamin, it's best to take it every day because it's not as well absorbed. But methylcobalamin is the active form that your body uses it in. If you are taking cyanocobalamin, your body will have to shuffle around the molecules to make up methylcobalamin, and then cyanide is one of the waste products. So that is a slight concern, but it stores better and it's better absorbed, so you need less of it, so it's cheaper if you are going to get a supplement. So it also gets absorbed in your stomach, in your intestine. It needs intrinsic factor to be secreted, so it needs acid in your stomach. So if you are consuming animal products, that decreases your stomach acid, it changes the balance in your stomach, and then you might not have enough intrinsic factor to actually absorb the vitamin B12. So there are also people that say you can take the sublingual B12. Yes, that's also possible. You have a lot of absorptive surface in your mouth, but as B12 needs intrinsic factor to be absorbed, I would just take it orally, and the work can get done in the stomach. So B12 is one that is of concern, but that you can remedy by taking a medication, a pill, and then if you are getting vegetables or fruit that you have grown yourself, there will be B12 in there. If there is in the soil, and if the plants are manufacturing it, then you can also get it. B12 is not manufactured by animals at all, not even the ones the meat you eat. So the B12 comes from a bacteria. So the bacteria produces B12. So you can get them in mushrooms. You can get B12 in mushrooms. You can get it in some kinds of seaweed and seagrass. And then you can get it in nutritional yeast if it is the active form. If it is an inactive bacteria, then you cannot get B12 from nutritional yeast. So there are only a handful of sources of B12 that you can consume. Otherwise, you need to take a supplement. Then another one is iron. Iron is quite easily accessible. You can get it easily on a plant-based and a vegan diet. Just include a variety of nuts and seeds and legumes and green leafy vegetables. Then you should be fine. Also consume fruit or something that contains vitamin C with your meal, and that increases the absorption of iron. So those two are important. Then iodine is also important. So remember your sea grasses, your sea vegetables, if I can call them that, like kelps as well. They have a lot of iodine. Not a lot of general vegetables or fruit have iodine. So that's why they're iodated salt. But we don't want to have a lot of salt because that influences your kidneys and can cause diseases. So just look for sources of iodine. So some vegetables, especially sea vegetables like seagrass, kelp, the nori sheets that they make sushi from will have. And then look out for selenium. Selenium is another important one because the soil is getting depleted of minerals. They only add in NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, phosphate and potassium. And those three are added so that the plants look healthy and they taste okay, but all of the other trace minerals are missing. So selenium is one of those trace minerals that's not being absorbed into the plants or the fruits that we are consuming because the soil is getting depleted. So unless you're getting your fruit and vegetables from your own garden where you know what you're putting into the soil, you're putting in lots of mineralization and things into the soil to keep it healthy, or you're getting somewhere from an organic source where you know that the soil is mineralized, then probably you're not getting enough selenium. So the one fruit group that has a lot of selenium, the annona fruits, those are like the custard apple, soursop, so the tropical ones. They are not as easily accessible to everyone. So selenium could be one that you also need to look out for. So also consume lots of fruit and berries and green leafy vegetables. So those are usually the ones that are of concern. So they are quite easy to remedy. You don't have to worry about that if you're following a plant-based or vegan diet. Just make sure you eat a variety of foods and you include nuts, seeds, and legumes. You can then also look at some of my other videos where you can include mushrooms and microgreens, and then you should really have your full complement of vitamins and minerals. Then, going back to specifically baby-led weaning, just focus mainly, I would say at the start, focus on fruit. Because when the child is coming to that 6 months of age, the child's only going to maybe have 1, 2, at most 4 teeth to start out with. So there's not much in the way for chewing. So fruit works well because it's soft, it's juicy, and there's a lowish risk of choking. So between traditional weaning and baby-led weaning, there's no difference in choking hazard. Just make sure to cut your finger foods lengthwise, make them long strips instead of little blocks. That also takes away that choking risk. And if you're giving round fruit like a grape, cut it lengthwise in 4. So then that also takes away the risk of choking. So then fruit is easy to chew on, to gum, and then to get all the nutrients in. Even if they then spit out the skin, they have gummed it and they have broken down some of those nutritional compounds that they can then absorb. So what they are just taking in is a little bit of minerals and vitamins that they might need, a little bit of fiber, and then a little bit of the macronutrients, the protein, carbohydrates, and fats. So they'll still get most of that from breast milk. That should only change where the majority of your calories are coming from food by about the age between 1 and 2 and 3. Then your caloric intake from food will begin to increase. So as food intake increases, breast milk intake will decrease. So then you'll get to that point where the baby will stop completely drinking breast milk and only eating food. So that will come only later if you are following the natural baby-led weaning. That should happen anywhere from the age of 3 up to 6. So they call them milk teeth for a reason. You only start losing your milk teeth by 6 or 7 years of age. So by that age, they will stop breastfeeding. But don't be alarmed. They'll probably stop breastfeeding in public by about 1 year of age. Then there will be night feeding and occasional day feeding, especially if the child is sick. It will want to drink some breast milk in the daytime, but that will decrease substantially. My daughter at the moment is almost 3 years old. She'll be 3 in April, and she's breastfeeding once in the day, maximum, if once, sometimes once. And at night, she'll still feed maybe 2 or 3 times at night. So it's really decreased from about 8 times in the day, 8 times in the night at around 4 to 6 months. So it really comes down a lot. So it's not something that you have to worry about in public. And it's also natural, but it's the little bit of a top up. So the breast milk will give them some immune support. It will give them some added fats and minerals and vitamins. And it also helps with that motherly connection, and it soothes them. And it can bring down a fever, for example. It can take away pain. There are a lot of added benefits to prolonged breastfeeding. So when you are following a plant-based or a vegan diet, variety is important. Variety is key. You need to get as much variety in as possible. So focus on a variety of fruits and vegetables that are seasonal, and then you add in beans, legumes, nuts, seeds, and then you can go to your grains. Your grains don't have to make up your biggest portion. They are also seeds. So if you think of rice is a seed. Bread comes from wheat, which is the seed of the plant. So grains are essentially also seeds. So just be mindful of that, and then know that you need the full whole kernel. So all the processed white products are not good because all the nutrition has been taken away. So just be aware of that as well. So it also depends on what kind of vegan you are. If I'm talking about veganism here, if you're vegan for your health, if you're vegan for animals or vegan for the environment, then if you are a whole food plant-based vegan, or if you're a junk food vegan, or if you're a mix between the two, you can eat nothing but oatmeal or porridge and you'll be considered to be vegan. You can drink Coca-Cola or soft drinks and eat only rice and instant noodles and donuts and burgers and be considered to be vegan, but it would not be considered healthy. So what I would consider to be a healthy diet would be a whole food plant-based diet focused on fruits, mainly fruit, nuts, seeds, and then adding some of the vegetables. And remember that mushrooms form part of fruit, and then microgreens form an essential part as well. So include all of those. You can even put in some sprouts as well. Beans and legumes are a fantastic source of protein. If you are worried about protein, most foods have protein in, especially vegetables, nuts, seeds. They all have protein. You will get enough protein on a plant-based diet. People are too fixated on protein. Our diets are saturated in protein. If you follow a Western diet, you are consuming 3 or 4 times the amount of protein sometimes that you really need. And that can cause damage in the long term as well. We don't need as much protein. Our bodies can also make protein. If you're also vegan or plant-based and you are concerned about your protein, take moringa, get a moringa tree, eat the leaves, eat the pods. You can eat the roots as well, or get a moringa powder. Moringa has all of the essential amino acids that we need, and it has 17 out of the 21 amino acids that are out there. So moringa, the tree, or the powder can give you all of the protein and the building blocks, the amino acids that we really need. So I think this was quite a long video, but I think it's important. And I hope you found some value in it. If you did, share the video, ask me some questions, pop a comment in the below. I will be glad to answer any questions that you might have. I can also share articles that I might have found or that I have with you, that if you have a specific complaint or a specific problem or a specific idea that you want me to help you with, please feel free to talk to me. And then like and subscribe as always. So stay healthy, and to God be the glory.